What if I told you that Jurassic Park almost never made it to theaters? Behind every iconic scene lies a disaster that nearly destroyed the entire production. From malfunctioning animatronics to secret rebellions, these 20 shocking secrets will completely change how you watch this legendary film. And if you love discovering the hidden chaos behind Hollywood's biggest hits, make sure to subscribe, because we're counting down the most incredible behind-the-scenes stories that almost killed the movie that changed cinema forever. Number 20. The $65 million marketing machine Universal spent more money marketing Jurassic Park than they did actually making it. $65 million went into plastering that iconic logo everywhere, from McDonald's Happy Meals to lunchboxes. This wasn't just movie promotion. It was a complete cultural takeover that turned dinosaurs into a merchandising goldmine that's still generating profits today. The marketing blitz was so aggressive that it created a phenomenon before the movie even hit theaters. Kids were wearing Jurassic Park t-shirts, collecting dinosaur toys, and demanding Happy Meals weeks before they'd seen a single scene. Universal essentially sold the experience of being terrified by dinosaurs, turning fear into the hottest commodity of 1993. But this massive spending spree was nothing compared to how efficiently they actually made the film. Number 19. Ahead of schedule, under-budget miracle. Despite every disaster you're about to hear, Jurassic Park finished filming 12 days early and came in under budget. This was practically impossible for a movie of this scale and complexity. Every mechanical failure and creative crisis somehow pushed the team to work more efficiently, proving that sometimes chaos creates the best results. Studio executives were amazed when Spielberg delivered a completed film that cost less than projected while featuring groundbreaking effects that nobody had ever seen before. The director's reputation for efficiency was legendary, but even he was surprised by how smoothly production flowed despite constant technical nightmares. This miracle of scheduling would seem even more impossible when you discover the scientific battles happening behind the scenes. Number 18. Jack Horner's scientific intervention paleontologist Jack Horner had to constantly fight the design team's bad ideas. He stopped them from giving raptors forked snake tongues, explaining that dinosaurs were actually more closely related to birds than reptiles. Without his scientific supervision, the movie's creatures would have looked ridiculous instead of revolutionary. Horner became the voice of reason in a room full of Hollywood creativity gone wild. The design team wanted to make dinosaurs as scary and exotic as possible, often ignoring basic biology in favor of pure terror. His battles with the art department were legendary, but his insistence on scientific accuracy helped create creatures that felt real enough to haunt your nightmares. Speaking of nightmares, wait until you hear about the lies they told about raptor sizes. Number 17. The Great Raptor-Size Deception. Those terrifying 6-foot velociraptors stalking through the kitchen? Complete lies. Real velociraptors were about the size of turkeys. The movie's raptors were actually based on Deinonychus, a much larger cousin. Spielberg knew turkey-sized predators wouldn't be scary enough, so he created his own version of prehistoric terror. The decision to upsize the raptors was pure Hollywood logic. Small dinosaurs don't sell movie tickets. Spielberg and his team took creative liberties that would make paleontologists cringe, but they created some of the most memorable movie monsters in cinema history. The kitchen scene alone justified every scientific inaccuracy they committed. But if you think the raptors were the only ones dealing with creative pressure, wait until you hear what John Williams was going through. Number 16. John Williams' painful masterpiece. The composer created that unforgettable score while battling severe back pain. Williams sometimes couldn't sit at the piano or conduct the orchestra, yet somehow channeled his physical agony into music that perfectly captured both wonder and terror. His suffering became cinema's gain. Williams had to direct recording sessions while lying flat on his back, giving instructions to musicians from a stretcher. The irony was devastating. He was composing soaring, majestic themes about creatures that could run and leap, while he could barely move without excruciating pain. His personal struggle with physical limitations somehow translated into a score that made dinosaurs feel more alive than any visual effect could achieve. And speaking of things that came straight from existing sources, you won't believe how they created that famous logo. Number 15. The logo that required zero creativity. That iconic Jurassic Park logo didn't need any complex design process. The marketing team simply lifted it straight from Michael Crichton's original book cover. Sometimes the simplest solutions create the most lasting impact. The design team spent weeks creating elaborate logo concepts, sketching dozens of variations with different dinosaurs, fonts, and color schemes. They presented boards full of creative options to Universal executives, who took one look and said, "Just use the book cover." What seemed like creative laziness became one of the most recognizable logos in entertainment history. But while the logo was effortless, the emotional impact of the first dinosaur scene was anything but simple. Number 14. First scene filmed made crew members. Cry the emotional moment with the sick Triceratops was actually the first dinosaur scene they shot. Crew members were reportedly moved to tears watching the massive creature breathe heavily, its eyes blinking with apparent pain. This scene set the standard for everything that followed, proving these weren't just monsters, but believable animals. The reaction was so powerful that Spielberg knew he had something special. Hardened Hollywood technicians who had seen every movie trick imaginable were genuinely emotional watching this artificial creature suffer. The scene established the tone for the entire film. These dinosaurs weren't just scary. They were real beings with their own personalities and vulnerabilities. Unfortunately, not every emotional dinosaur scene made it into the final cut. Number 13. The baby Triceratops scene that never was. Spielberg filmed a heartwarming sequence of Tim riding a baby Triceratops, showing the gentle side of these prehistoric giants. But he ultimately cut it from the final film, knowing that slowing down the pace would destroy the carefully built tension that kept audiences on edge. The scene was absolutely magical, with the child actor giggling as the baby dinosaur nuzzled against him like a friendly puppy. It would have been one of the most beloved moments in the film, showing that not all dinosaurs were deadly predators. But Spielberg's instincts were right. The movie needed to maintain its breakneck pacing to keep viewers glued to their seats. Speaking of maintaining pace, the animators found some truly bizarre ways to study dinosaur movement. Number 12. Parking lot dinosaur. Acting for the Gallimimus stampede scene, animators did something wonderfully absurd. They went into a parking lot and literally acted like dinosaurs, running around in groups to study how herds naturally move and flow together. This ridiculous research method helped create one of the most believable mass movement sequences ever filmed. Picture grown adults sprinting across asphalt, arms flailing, trying to mimic prehistoric bird-like creatures they'd never seen alive. Neighbors probably thought they were watching some kind of interpretive dance disaster. But this hands-on approach to understanding herd dynamics created animation that felt organic and natural, rather than computer-generated. The attention to realistic movement extended to every creature in the film, including the sounds they made. Number 11. The Brachiosaurus voice deception. That majestic, awe-inspiring call of the towering Brachiosaurus that gives you chills every time. It's actually whale songs mixed with a donkey's bray. Sound designers spent months layering different animal noises until they created something that had never been heard before, but felt completely authentic. The sound team tried everything from elephant trumpets to lion roars, but nothing captured the gentle majesty they needed. The breakthrough came when they realized they needed to think bigger. Literally. Whales were the only living creatures with the vocal power to match a 50-ton dinosaur, but they needed something more earthbound to make it believable. The donkey bray added that familiar mammalian quality that made audiences connect emotionally with the sound. But the most shocking revelation is how little dinosaur action you actually see. Number 10. Less dinosaur time than you think. Despite being the ultimate dinosaur movie, Jurassic Park only shows dinosaurs for 15 minutes total. Just 6 minutes of that is actual CGI. The rest was practical effects, clever camera work, and pure storytelling magic that made you believe you were seeing 2 hours of prehistoric action. This statistic destroys the illusion completely. Your brain remembers dinosaurs in every scene because Spielberg was a master of suggestion and anticipation. The famous less is more approach meant that when you finally saw a full dinosaur, the impact was devastating. Every glimpse was precious, every roar was meaningful, and every encounter felt like a life or death moment. One of those precious moments took weeks to perfect with the simplest solution. Number 9. The guitar string that created movie history. That perfect moment when water ripples in the glass, warning of the approaching T-Rex, took weeks to achieve. The elegant solution was beautifully simple. A guitar string attached underneath the glass vibrated at exactly the right frequency to create those iconic circular ripples that still give viewers goosebumps. The special effects team tried everything from small motors to complex vibration devices, But nothing created the perfect concentric circles they needed. The breakthrough came from a musician on set who suggested using what he knew best, a guitar string. The low-frequency vibrations created exactly the ominous warning sign that became one of cinema's most copied effects. But while they were perfecting water ripples, real humans were suffering to bring dinosaurs to life. Number 8. Humans suffering inside raptor suits. Those terrifying raptors weren't all CGI wizardry. Real actors were crammed inside rubber suits, contorting their bodies into impossible positions for hours. These performers could barely breathe or see where they were going, yet had to convince audiences they were deadly, intelligent predators hunting human prey. The suit actors developed their own language of taps and signals to communicate, since they couldn't hear properly through the thick rubber heads. They practiced for weeks to move in ways that seemed predatory and alien, all while dealing with claustrophobia, overheating, and complete sensory deprivation. Their dedication to the craft was incredible, but it was nothing compared to the visual disaster that almost ruined an emotional scene. Number 7. The Neon Triceratops Disaster. The production team originally painted the sick Triceratops in neon purple and green, thinking it would look dramatic on camera. When the cast saw it, they burst into uncontrollable laughter. What was supposed to be an emotional scene looked like a psychedelic nightmare. Spielberg ordered an immediate repaint, delaying filming for days. The bright colors were so ridiculous that even the serious dramatic actors couldn't maintain their composure. Laura Dern tried multiple takes, but kept breaking character every time she looked at the fluorescent dinosaur. The art department had to work around the clock to create a more realistic paint job that wouldn't turn a touching moment into unintentional comedy. This delay was minor compared to the computer rendering nightmare happening behind the scenes. Number 6. CGI rendering hell. Each second of those groundbreaking CGI dinosaurs took nearly a week to render using 1990s technology. What looked effortless on screen required hundreds of hours of computer processing time. This brutal reality is why Spielberg had to rely heavily on practical effects and clever cinematography. Computer labs ran 24 hours a day, with machines overheating regularly from the massive processing demands. A single T-Rex footstep might take 3 days to calculate properly. The rendering farm consumed so much electricity that it actually affected the local power grid. This technological limitation forced creativity that made the film better. Every CGI shot had to count, and every practical effect had to be perfect. But some of the movie's creatures weren't based on any real science at all. Number 5. Hollywood's Dilophosaurus lies. That colorful, venom-spitting Dilophosaurus that terrorizes Dennis Nedry was pure Hollywood invention. Real Dilophosaurus had no frill, couldn't spit poison, and was actually much larger than the movie version. Spielberg wanted a smaller, more cunning predator for that scene, so he simply created a completely fictional dinosaur. The real Dilophosaurus was actually about 20 feet long and had distinctive double crests on its skull. But no fancy frill, and definitely no venom delivery system. Spielberg needed a creature that could be both cute and terrifying, small enough to seem harmless, but deadly enough to create genuine fear. The result was essentially a made-up monster that audiences accepted as prehistoric fact. The sounds this fake dinosaur made came from an equally bizarre source. Number 4. The secret raptor sound recipe. Those bone-chilling raptor screeches that make your skin crawl came from the strangest combination imaginable. Sound designers mixed dolphin squeaks with the mating calls of tortoises. They experimented for months, layering bizarre animal noises until they created something that sounded prehistoric, terrifying, and completely unique. The process was like cooking a recipe for nightmares. They recorded dolphins at marine parks, tortoises at zoos, and dozens of other animals in between. The breakthrough came when they realized that intelligent communication needed to sound familiar, yet alien. Dolphins provided the complex vocalizations that suggested intelligence, while tortoise sounds added an otherworldly quality that felt ancient and threatening. But the most dramatic change to the film happened at the very end. Number 3. Spielberg's last-minute ending revolution. The T-Rex wasn't supposed to be the hero at all. Spielberg's original ending was a quiet resolution inside the visitor center, but he realized audiences needed that massive payoff, so he scrapped his careful planning and gave the T-Rex that iconic ceiling-bursting moment. This required rebuilding sets, reshooting scenes, and convincing Universal to spend extra money on a sequence that wasn't even in the script. The original ending felt anticlimactic after 2 hours of dinosaur terror. Spielberg watched early cuts and realized the audience needed that final spectacular moment where the T-Rex saves the day. The decision meant reconstructing the entire visitor center set to accommodate a massive animatronic head crashing through the ceiling. Universal executives were nervous about the additional costs, but Spielberg's instincts were perfect. That moment became the most memorable scene in the film. However, the real revolution happened in secret. Number 2. The secret CGI rebellion that changed everything. An animator at Industrial Light and Magic went completely rogue. Behind Spielberg's back, he built a test CGI T-Rex that wasn't approved, wasn't budgeted, and definitely wasn't supposed to exist. When he finally revealed this unauthorized creation, everything changed. Spielberg had planned to use mostly practical effects, but this secret digital dinosaur was so realistic it made expensive animatronics look fake. That single act of creative rebellion revolutionized not just Jurassic Park, but every blockbuster that followed. The animator knew he was risking his career by working on unauthorized footage, but he believed CGI could achieve something impossible with traditional effects. He spent nights and weekends perfecting his digital T-Rex, refining every detail until it looked absolutely real. When he finally showed Spielberg the test footage, the director's jaw dropped. This moment changed the entire film industry, proving that computers could create living, breathing characters that audiences would completely believe. But even this revolutionary breakthrough paled in comparison to the mechanical nightmare that almost destroyed everything. Number 1. The killer animatronic that nearly destroyed everything. Picture this nightmare scenario. A 12,000-pound mechanical T-Rex suddenly springs to life during a rainstorm, twitching uncontrollably and threatening to crush everything in sight. When Hawaiian rain soaked through the T-Rex's skin, it short-circuited the complex computer systems controlling every movement. The massive animatronic would randomly jerk its head, snap its jaws, and lumber around completely out of control. Cast and crew had to scramble for safety as thousands of pounds of metal and latex thrashed about like a real predator. Spielberg thought he'd have to scrap the entire centerpiece of his movie. The malfunction was so terrifying that it felt like the dinosaur had actually come to life and was trying to escape. The rain had turned the most expensive movie prop ever built into an uncontrollable monster. Technicians worked frantically to shut down the power while actors ran for cover. The incident forced the entire production team to develop new weatherproofing techniques and backup safety systems that actually improved the final product. What seemed like a potential disaster became the catalyst for innovations that made the T-Rex even more realistic and impressive. These weren't just happy accidents. They were disasters that creative people transformed into cinematic gold. Every scene you love almost didn't happen. Every moment that gives you chills was born from technical problems, rebellious creativity, or last-minute inspiration. The next time you watch Jurassic Park, remember that behind every perfect moment lies a story of chaos, innovation, and artists refusing to give up when everything was falling apart. If these behind-the-scenes secrets blew your mind, you need to smash that subscribe button right now, because we've got tons more shocking Hollywood disasters that somehow created movie magic. Which of these facts surprised you the most? Drop a comment and let me know. I read every single one, and your suggestions help me decide what movie to destroy your childhood memories of next. And if you think Jurassic Park had production problems, wait until you see what almost killed Titanic, or how Star Wars was saved by a last-minute edit that Lucas never wanted to make. Hit that notification bell so you never miss the insane stories hiding behind your favorite films. Trust me, once you start learning these secrets, you'll never watch movies the same way again.